Hello and welcome to Team Liquid's strategy guide series for Nerub-ar Palace. I'm Eiya, and today I'm presenting Telegon's breakdown of the mechanics and strategy for heroic Nexus-Princess Ky'veza. The Nexus-Princess Ky'veza encounter alternates between two distinct phases 3 times before entering a soft enrage that eventually becomes a hard enrage. Stage 1 is called the Phantom Blade, during which she is active and uses her main abilities in a distinct and deterministic rotation. Stage 2 is called Starless Night, where she becomes inactive, channeling an ability of the same name in the center of her arena. Periodically, 2 opposite triangles of her hexagonal arena will explode with void energy, always progressing clockwise. Throughout the encounter, any player who drops below 10% health will trigger Reaper, causing a Shadow of Ky'veza to attempt an execution with a 2.1 million damage hit. This mechanic requires constant vigilance from healers and individuals who should use emergency health potions, health stones, externals, triage healing, and personal cooldowns to either prevent Reaper from triggering or mitigate its impact. In Stage 1, Ky'veza will cast her abilities in the following order: 1. Assassination, 2. Nether Rift, 3. Twilight Massacre, 4. Nexus Daggers, 5. Nether Rift, 6. Twilight Massacre, and 7. Nexus Daggers. Assassination marks N+1 players for execution, where N equals the number of times the boss has completed her 2-phase rotation. This means that when you first pull the boss, she will target 3 players with Assassination. Upon returning to Stage 1 after the first Starless Night, she will target 4 players, and so on. After 6 seconds, the marked players explode for 1.7 million shadow damage in a 5-yard radius and are debuffed with Queen's Bane. Upon expiration, another phantom will spawn at each player's location. Queen's Bane is a dot that lasts 9 seconds and deals extra damage to the player upon expiration. On heroic difficulty, 4 projectiles shoot out from the player's character model in a cross pattern based on their facing. Players with Queen's Bane should face the boss from range to avoid hitting the melee group with the projectiles. The Nether Phantoms that spawn as a result of Assassination mimic Ky'veza's Nether Rift ability and have additional mechanics of their own. When the boss casts Nether Rift, she will spawn 1 in front of her, and each Nether Phantom will spawn 1 in front of them. After a short duration, these rifts will begin pulling players towards their centers, dealing periodic raid damage. Any player who enters a rift will die. To counter the pull, control the placement of the rifts by positioning the assassination targets in a specific shape based on the number of rifts. In Stage 1, you'll have 4 rifts. In Stage 2, you'll have 5, and so on. 6 seconds after the Nether Rifts begin pulling, they will fade, and Ky'veza will proceed to Twilight Massacre. Each Nether Phantom will select a player, and after 6 seconds, the Phantom will dash towards its target, dealing shadow damage and applying Queen's Bane to any player caught in its path. To handle this, targeted players should move out to their Nether Phantom, always moving to the left or right of their Phantom. Use the perspective logic that makes the most sense, as long as positioning it is consistent across players. This strategy maintains the overall shape configuration and prevents any Twilight Massacre target from being hit by another player's Nether Phantom. Finally, Ky'veza and her Phantoms will cast Nexus Daggers, drawing 3 lines centered on a player for each caster. These should simply be dodged. To begin Stage 2, Ky'veza will move to the center of her arena and start casting Eclipse, which veils sections of the room in darkness. These sections are always paired, opposite triangles of her hexagonal arena, with the pattern clearly visible from the floor markings. As the Eclipse triangles rotate around the arena, players will be selected for Regicide, an ability that mimics Fire Axe Blazes. To handle these mechanics easily, have the raid spread out along each triangle's shared segments. When the voided area is to your right, wait for it to progress to your current area, then move into the newly cleared space. Remember, Reaper, the 10% HP execute, is also present in this phase. After her channel finishes, Ky'veza will return to Stage 1. Note that her 3rd cast of Starless Night becomes Eternal Night, which has no end and serves as her soft enrage. Eternal Night fills 3 triangles with Eclipse, leaving an empty triangle between each, and alternates between these configurations before eventually covering the entire room, creating a hard enrage. For strategy, focus on these key points. 1. Designate the placement of Nether Phantoms through the assassination targets for each phase. 2. Define a consistent left or right, clockwise or counterclockwise, convention for Twilight Massacre targets. 3. Ensure players with Queen's Bane understand how to position their characters. By adhering to these conventions, the fight should become more straightforward, shifting the focus towards healing and defensive usage. As always, we'd like to remind you that this guide is based on data and observations gathered from pre-release testing environments. The information provided may not fully reflect the final state of the raid encounter, as adjustments and changes can occur before the official release. Use this guide as a reference, but be prepared for potential differences in mechanics, tuning, and strategies when the raid goes live. Any significant changes will be noted in the description of this video. And with that, we very much hope you found this guide useful. Please feel free to leave feedback or commentary below, and keep an eye on this channel as more guides are going to be coming out soon. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.